Okay, welcome to the wrap-up of our measurement unit, the final review. You'll find this on pages 64, 65, 66. So this will be a very brief recording. Let's just first of all write down the questions that are assigned, then I'll go over them. So here you should be beginning on page 64, it says review on the top. It's got a bit of a picture of Vancouver Island over there. So, measurement, final review. Page 64. On page 64, you will do 1, 3, and 9. On page 65, you'll do number 15. And on page 66, you will do 20, 25, and on 25, once you get to question 25, choose A or B. A or B. That'll be your review, right? Now, let me quickly decide how many marks this will be worth, and you'll write that down, and then we'll go over them very briefly here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll say 25 marks. 25 marks is what the final review will be worth. There were just 2 assignments that counted for marks during this unit, and this is the second one. The rest was all homework. 25 marks. Right. Let's go on. On page 64, number 1. Which imperial unit, that's like your inches, your feet, your yards, your miles, is most appropriate for the length of your arm, the width of the classroom, the distance you ran in gym class. Choose which unit you would pick and justify your choice. If you're going to use miles to measure the length of your arm, then you'll need to explain why. 3. This is one that all of you loved. Yards into feet, 14 yards to feet. There's 3 feet in a yard. Right, you go back in your notebook, you'll find all those conversions that we did. 5 miles into yards. How many yards are there in a mile? Go back and look, but there's 1,760. You're dealing with 5 miles. 6 feet and 3 inches to inches. Well, this unit's already in inches, right? So just convert the feet. 12 inches in a foot. 12 times 6, right? Add the 3. Done. 123 inches to yards, feet, and inches. Here's what I would do. I would turn it into feet so that I know what I have left over. Right? I would divide by 12. I would see how many 12s I can get out of 123. And those are my feet. And then what's left over would be the inches. Then I would take my feet and turn as many of them into yards as I can. Right? And then you have yards, feet, and then whatever feet are left over. So then yards, feet, inches. So I would turn this into feet. Then the leftover would be inches. Then I take the feet into yards, and the leftover from the yards would be your feet. That's how I tackle this one. Just a bit of a tip there. Number 9 over here, we're getting into our volume and surface area now. Determine the surface area of each object to the nearest square unit. They're giving you a cone with a radius, right? So this is all the surface area. So all the ones that come up to a peak like this are divided by 2. Remember, you're not doing volume. Volume is divided by 3, but this is surface area. So divide by 2. Area of base times height, divide by 2. And for surface area, remember, you want the slant height. Are they giving it to you? Here they're giving it to you. Here they are. Here. So for all of these, they are being nice and giving you the slant height. So you won't have to use Pythagoras to find the slant height. Area of the base times the height. This here is triangle. Look at, it's a triangular pyramid, right? So the other thing you could do, area of base, which is triangle, base times height divided by 2 times the height, right? Here you'll be using pi for the 2 cones, okay? A rectangular pyramid, my apologies, it's not a square, so it won't be all the same all the way around. You'll have to do 2 separate thingamajigs there, right? Just how it is. But like this side is similar to the back, and then the 2 sides are the same. So find 1 times 2, right? On to volume, page 65, number 15. Again, for some of these you might have to go back, see what we did, but here we have the volume of a couple of cones and a couple of pyramids. Area of the base times the straight height, and they're giving you the straight height every time, so you won't have to find it. For volume, it's the straight height, not the slant, the straight. Area of the base times the straight height. And for the guy, and for all of these, your final answer has to be divided by 3. They're all coming up to a peak, and they're all dealing with volume, dealing with cubic measurements. So your final answer gets divided by 3. Good, good. Last one, page 66, last couple of questions. Number 20, our friend the sphere. Giving you 2 different spheres, one with 4.5 inches diameter, one with 6.5 miles, radius, 4.5 inches radius on the first one, 6.5 meters diameter on the second. So the first thing you're going to do is divide this guy by 2 to get his radius, and then you'll use the formulas, the 2 formulas for volume and surface area of a sphere, which we really learned just in the previous recording. You should have those, and go right ahead and you use them. Here, pick one. Pick from 25, pick A or B. You're dealing with 2 different shapes. So you're going to find the surface area and the volume of this entire thing. So do it separate. This is a rectangular prism, so volume is simply 6 times 6 times 13, right, for this one here. We have a square pyramid, right, which is also going to be, each triangle is going to be the same, right? So you find the area of 1 times 4, but of course it's I would do each triangle separately. You have a slant height here of 11, so you could do 11 times 6, right? Divide by 2, that's the area of 1 triangle, then simply times 4. It's a square pyramid. You got it. And then for the volume, you'll need volume of, I'm going to start over with this explanation. Okay, I'm going to start by explaining surface area, and then I'm going to do volume. Okay, scrap what I said in the first place. I was mixing up the 2 terms. So let's start with surface area. This guy is made up of 4 rectangles, a square at the end. This square is open inside, right? So don't count it because it opens up to this shape, right? So you have 2 long guys, 13 by 6, right? So 13 times 6 times 2. You have the top, which is also 13 by 6. So actually all 4 are the same. So you could do 13 times 6 times 4. Then the guy at the end, 6 times 6, right? Then you'll add those 2 up. That's the surface area of this guy. Surface area of the pyramid here, as I was saying before, I would do each triangle separately. Your slant height here is 11. So 11 times 6, base times height, 11 times 6, divide by 2. That's the area of 1 triangle. Just do times 4. And voila, there's your surface area. Volume, rectangular prism, 6 times 6 times 11. Length times width times height. It's just that easy. Volume of this guy. You're going to need your straight height. And they've given you a slant height. You're going to need a straight height. So you know the slant height, but you want to have the straight height in the middle. So you take the slant height. Now, how are you going to find what the short side is? Well, it's going to be this guy here. It's going to be half of the 6, so it's 3, because you want to go halfway into this pyramid. And what is halfway into this pyramid? It's going to be the same as halfway across the end here, right? So it's 3. Okay? Now, the 11 is the long side. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 3 is side A and 11 is side C to get that height going up the middle. I hope that's clear. I would suggest, like, if anybody wants to do B instead of A, that's fine, but I'm not going to go over it. I would suggest focusing on A. It's simply combining two concepts that we've done. The volume and surface area of various shapes, but now we're just combining the two shapes. It's sort of the overall concept of the unit. So if you have any questions about number 25, I can clarify it for you again, but I'm hoping that you will just be able to work that out. And that is it for recordings for this week. Next week we'll start a new unit, which is trigonometry, the study of triangles, where we will continue to build on Pythagoras and take it further.